Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Teacher Catherine. I'm back to look at our second learning style. Initially, in part one, we looked at the visual learner or the visual style of learning. And this time, I want us to explore the auditory learners. Again, we say that parents need to really take a keen interest on how best their children learn. And this auditory learner is that kind of child who will learn best from what they hear. Just like the name suggests, auditory is about hearing. So what they hear is what they learn more from. And in many occasions, they will depict the following characteristics, some or all of the following characteristics, and that is how you know that your child is an auditory learner, and therefore you need to help them in the line in which their dominant characteristic of learning is. The first thing that you will notice is that this child likes to read to themselves out loud. They like to read to self out loud. That is, for example, if you give them something to read, they won't read from the heart. They will, even in a classroom situation, they'll read something loudly. And sometimes you want them to read, to their heart, but this one will just go reading out loud simply because they want to hear themselves. They want to connect with their auditory senses. And in that case, whatever sounds they get to interact with in the environment, they learn a lot from that. The second characteristic is that they are not afraid to speak. In a classroom situation, this is the child that on many occasions, whenever you ask a question, they will answer it without thinking. They will answer it today, tomorrow, or within a classroom situation. They will even answer like 3 or 4 times. They like to speak. They like to respond to sound. And this is the kind of child that will constantly speak, and maybe sometimes they're picked up in class as noisemakers, while in real life situation, they may not be doing that with the wrong intention. They are not afraid to speak, and many times they like oral reports. For example, when they do something good, you instantly commend them, or give a compliment that everyone else will hear, and they really get a lot of satisfaction in that, and they know that they are learning. They are very good at explaining themselves and also explaining some facts. And at home, for example, as parents, you'll find a child whereby, like, you come home and ask, who poured this water on the floor? Many times they'll be the first ones to respond, and they'll tell you, Mom, when you left at 2 p.m., my friend came and they pushed me and the glass fell. And they'll give a lot of stories around that, while you probably wanted to know who exactly did that. So they'll explain. And even in a classroom situation, they give their answers and they go ahead to explain. Now, unlike the visual learner who remembers the face more than the name, the auditory learner remembers names very well, very clearly. And this is the kind of a child where you introduce something and they quickly, grasp it without much of a problem. You will also notice that this learner enjoys music. They enjoy music, and in that case, unlike the visual learner who will do well in a very quiet environment, whose learning will take place in a very quiet environment, the auditory learner will not be disrupted by music in the background or, for example, noise in the background. they are able to work, or they are able to learn despite whatever else is happening, and they may take keen of that, but it may not really distract them much. Not to say that you keep the house very noisy and you really don't give much attention to that, but what you're simply saying is that whatever plays in the background may not really disrupt them much. They may continue learning as much. This learner is also very good in grammar and foreign language. Again, parents, this is the child that whenever you make any grammatical mistake or pronounce words wrongly, they are very quick to correct you. And sometimes you wonder, why are you correcting me? I'm your mother, I'm the one who taught you how to speak, and blah, blah, blah. But you realize they are very good in pitching their language and grammar. In foreign language is very easy for them. And when you notice this is the case for your child, it is very important at an early age, of course, to introduce them to learning other foreign languages, because they'll do it very well. The other thing is that they are very good at following spoken directions. Unlike the visual learner whom we said that they don't do well in this area, these ones do very well in the spoken direction. In which case, as a parent, maybe at home, you will give direction of you wake up in the morning, you take your shower, and by 8:30 you sit on your table and you do mathematics, or you do whatever chores or whatever you want done. You give instruction up to, for example, up to 2 p.m. And this child will be able to execute that depending on the direction that you give without much problem. They can't keep quiet for a long period. This kind of learner will most of the time be picked for noise making in class. And like I said, because they're very vocal and they like being in the front line, you find them, wanting to talk, wanting to engage. And because of that, you find that for you to be able to exploit this learning style from your child, you need to give them a lot of activities that require them to respond, and you get along as you engage. Unlike the visual learner, where we noted that they are more quiet and they would rather watch than talk, these ones would rather talk than watch. Okay, now you also notice that they enjoy acting and the stage is their favorite. They like acting in whatever way. For example, even at home, you may find they like imitating. Is it a musical thing? We also noted that they love music. They will dance to it. And this is the kind of child in school which many teachers like to use for displaying things like poetry, reciting poetry, being the choir masters, and they really enjoy and they bring it out very well. And whenever you use the entire class for a certain task, for example, like music, you find that this auditory learner will be very good in this area, as opposed to the visual learner, who many times will just sit. Sometimes they not even talk anything, but watch the others as they speak. And sometimes even parents will like, why isn't my child, singing along with the others, particularly during parents' meetings or school or celebrations and stuff like that, and their class is presenting something, and you wonder, why isn't my child speaking or singing or participating? It is because they are not tuned to that mode of learning. But the auditory learner will be in poetry, will be in drama, they will be the ones, all that. And that is how you identify that child as a dominant auditory learner. And because of that, they study very well in group discussions. So in a home situation where you want some learning experience to take place, you may put them in a group, or you may sit together in a group, like, father, mother, and the child there, and you engage together, and the child learns very well, and they come out very strongly because they are vocal, they like to speak, they enjoy that attention, they enjoy that oral feedback, good oral feedback, and they learn a lot from that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this helps you to identify the kind of child, the kind of method your child learns best in, and therefore able to help them even more. Thank you very much.